How's it going, everyone? I have my good friend Ian from JetsCentral, and man, it's been a wild day, or more so, a wild set of months. The trade rumors becoming true via Aaron Rodgers that he will be a New York Jet in the next few days. Obviously, we'll see what exactly happens. So, Ian, I'm having you on here because I want to hear what you think of this. I'm sure you're extremely happy.
Yeah, man. I mean, does anybody really need like an explanation on like Jets quarterback history, Jets quarterback shortcomings? Is it always the player? No. Sometimes it's the coaching staff, sometimes it's the situation, sometimes it is the player. But with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, in my opinion, he's the top three quarterback ever.
Always said he's the most talented. That's what I've always said.
Yeah, dude, like he's always been so much fun to watch and funny enough, like I literally remember like back in high school, I would like not just saying this because the Jets landed him and stuff like that, but I remember like bailing on plans, like hanging out with my friends or like a date here and there, because I'm thinking like, yo, Green Bay is on tonight, Monday Night Football, and I really want to watch Aaron Rodgers, so I can't make it. I gotta watch A Rod. I'm
When's
not a
When's the
Packer
last time?
fan.
When's the last time the Jets had a Monday Night Football? Hasn't it been a while? I mean, they'll of course have one now this year that Rodgers is there. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, for Monday Night Football, I'm thinking the latest. I think it was Sam Darnold and the Jets versus the Patriots,
Okay.
and I think it was the whole seeing ghost thing. I could be wrong on that though. I'm pretty sure that was a Monday night game though.
In general, you guys are gonna have a lot of primetime games. I mean, like I said, Aaron Rodgers has been a Packer his whole career. I went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. I was born in '96, right? So it's like we're going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. So now there's that uncertainty. Of course, there was the uncertainty when you move on from Brett Favre and you go to Aaron Rodgers, and a lot of people are saying, oh, he's not the next thing. Obviously, the rest is history. So, I was on board with whatever the Packers wanted to do here. Obviously they drafted Jordan Love a few years ago thinking about replacing Aaron Rodgers. Then he went on to win 2 MVPs, and every offseason we're kind of getting that, oh, is Aaron Rodgers going to be traded? And we always sat here going, that's not going to happen. The media keeps saying it. It's not going to happen. Then finally, you hear it from Aaron Rodgers' mouth himself, and it still kind of feels surreal because I still had a part of my mind that I was like, okay, maybe he could be back. But hey, I'm on board to see what the future holds. And just in general, I mean, it's interesting. I'm very interested to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I got to be honest though, I am a little nervous with the O line.
Mm-hmm.
Watching Rodgers before and past interviews and whatnot, he's always, and rightfully so, he's always talked about having good O line play.
Yeah.
Like this is, like you can't have elite quarterback play without good offensive line play. If you're constantly getting sacked, constantly getting rushed, constantly getting forced outside of the pocket over and over and over again, you're put in positions where you can't run the ball effectively,
Yeah.
you're going to have problems offensively. And the last place I want the Jets to be is to, trade away assets, take on this big money deal, land a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers and not be able to protect him. Like
Yeah.
this is the reason why we aren't having success because we can't protect the number one, the prize jewel of the organization. Like to me, that's the worst place that nobody wants to be there. And right now the Jets don't have a center on the roster. They aren't in the best situation cap wise. There's no depth on the inside. We have three tackles coming back from season ending. Two tackles coming back from season ending injuries. One coming back from
Just like the
I think it was
Packers.
a one coming back from I think it was a blood clot
Oh,
situation where
geez.
he ended up having to miss the entire season. Uh, Dwayne Brown up there in age. Mekhi Becton missed two back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
So we just have a lot of uncertainties. Even our mainstay, like our main anchor in Elijah Vera Tucker, he's coming back from a season-ending injury where he tore his tricep. So I think it's I'm a little nervous with the O line, but if we could just get that figured out, I would say that the Jets are probably the favorite in the AFC East.
Yeah, I would agree. Like if because the talent on that roster. I mean, when we started hearing the trade rumors about Aaron Rodgers going there, I was like, this team, in my opinion, is a quarterback away. And I know a lot of people will argue they're not, but just with the talent they have, I'm super excited to see. And this pains me to say because we've never drafted a first round wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. I'm so excited to see him with Garrett Wilson, and I'm sure he is too. I've seen the tweets, and he was like, "Sorry, I didn't know it wasn't technically official yet and whatnot." But I am really excited for that. You guys just signed Alan Lazard. I think a little bit more money than he was worth, but if it's bringing in Aaron Rodgers and it's bringing in guys that are going to lead that locker room, I totally get it. We'll see what happens with the whole Randall Cobb thing. I don't know about your opinion on it, but I would say Corey Davis is as good as gone right now, saving like $10 million if you guys cut him. I wouldn't even like him in a trade at this point because the Packers are kind of like trying to go younger, so getting a $10.5 million aging wide receiver that's never got 1,000 yards doesn't really make much sense to me. Elijah Moore, on the other hand, that is something that I would like as a Packers fan. And it's interesting you said, we don't really have a center because that's very important for Aaron Rodgers due to his 12-man on the defense calls, his hard counts. You need to be on the same page. Like Aaron Rodgers is going to be in these linemen's ear, like yelling at them if they cannot get on the same page. We've seen it time and time again. But Aaron Rodgers is a great teammate, and I think it'll be very interesting to see how he meshes with Hackett and Saleh and that whole organization in general. And jumping back to Elijah Moore, do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I don't think the Jets would prefer to do that, but if it comes down to it, I think they would. He's a guy who, requested a trade from the Jets in his second year. Not even a year and a half into his career, he requested a trade because he wasn't getting the ball thrown to him in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Not the best that didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well with a lot of Jets fans, right? But with that said, he's still a young, cheap wide receiver, still has a humongous upside. Part of the reason why he requested the trade was because he got in an argument with Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother.
That's my question too. I'm like, is that going to be, weird there?
It potentially, but I think like at the end of the day, like if everybody's just an adult about the situation, like Matt is not Mike. Yeah, they're brothers, but they're not the same guy. So if Elijah Moore has like a problem with that, then to me, it's just like a little immature that
you probably wouldn't want him in the locker room anyways. Exactly.
Yeah. So, to me, if you are Matt LaFleur, though, I don't think Saleh's going to lie to him. And he has his brother, on speed dial. You could just give him a call like, yo, what's going on with Corey Davis? Like, why didn't he get those 1,000 yards? Why was he missing time? How was he in the locker room? Like, you can really take a deep dive with this Jets roster if you do want a player and get some honest, great information that you might not get if you were calling whoever the Saints, the Vikings, something like that.
Yeah. So we keep seeing reports, like refuting reports. It's constant of what this compensation is going to look like. I'm sure we'll get an answer in the next coming days. I believe there's something with Aaron Rodgers' bonus on the 17th that pretty much they have to wait till that point anyways in order for it to be, I think it's a $16 million cap hit it'll be for the Jets, which is a bargain. Now, the rest of that contract, that's a whole nother story. And then supposedly there's talks of like a restructured contract with the Jets end on Aaron Rodgers and what the compensation will be back with. Honestly, I know a lot of people are saying Aaron Rodgers didn't have that much leverage or the Packers don't have leverage, but I feel like he helped them today because he outright said, okay, I'm not playing for the Packers. I want to be a Jet. So now that the Jets hear that, and I'm sure they've known it since last Friday or whatnot, they're going to have to at least cater to the Packers because right now, I feel like it's Aaron Rodgers or nothing, and it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. So now it's like, what do we need to give to the Packers? So what do you think the compensation is going to be like? Because honestly, I have no idea.
So what's weird, man, is like I have the same mindset, but it's the opposite. Like I'm looking at it like the Jets are obviously like they want Aaron bad. Aaron wants to come play for the Jets. The Packers want to get rid of Aaron. Aaron said himself in the McAfee show that it's not going to be a situation where Green Bay is just like, no, we're not going to trade you. Like you're just going to be on the roster and you're going to be forced to like come into camp. I am now under the impression that the Packers don't really have much that they can, ask for because Aaron wants to bounce and he's not going to be a Packer. But you're totally, like your viewpoint on it, I think is totally valid. I didn't think of it up until you said it. And now it kind of it got me nervous a little bit, right? Like thinking about potentially moving 13 or a second round pick that could move up to a first. Sorry, go ahead.
I was to say, man, if it's not pick 13, I'm going to be a little disappointed. And I know a lot of people say he's not worth that, 40-year-old quarterback that you look at his contract and you look at, what is his future past 2023? He said going into that darkness retreat, I was 90% retiring. And that was what he was thinking staying as a Green Bay Packer. So he's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm retiring. He had 10% of, I might play football again. He leaves the darkest retreat. There's rumors of the Packers moving on from him. He gets to talk with the Jets, and now he's like, I'm in. I'm playing. So I don't know how long that's going to last. And of course, with that contract, that makes it a lot harder for the Jets because that money goes way, way up.
And, another thing too, it's like, yeah, I know, like, technically speaking, it's only going to be what, a 15, $16 million like cap hit for this year, but it's not just the $16 million. Like, there's so much more money on the back end of the deal, which I don't have the exact numbers. And of course, things can get restructured and whatnot. You might have some more info on it, and I'll ask you about it later. But one thing that's like kind of along with the O-line, something that's making me nervous here, the Jets are having to restructure tons of deals to literally afford Aaron Rodgers at the $16 million mark. The Jets, like, not over exaggerating here, the Jets have restructured Laken Tomlinson, Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzama, DJ Reed, and I think there might be one more player there that essentially their deals got cleared up for this season, right? Open up space, but now the Jets are on the hook for paying them like an extra year or two down the road, making them harder to release later on.
Welcome to having Aaron Rodgers on the roster, because that's what us Packers fans have been going through the past 2 years, ever since the salary cap went down during COVID. It's crazy. I mean, we're going to be paying $8 million for Adrian Amos this year, and he's not on the roster. So, it's kicking the can down the road. It can come back to bite you, but it's like, if this is your shot at a Super Bowl and you think Aaron Rodgers can do that, which I think he can, what else are you going to do?
Right. But yeah, going back to 13, I think, if news comes out, right, New York Jets trade the 13th pick for Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to be like pissed off, like, what are we doing? Like, this sucks. It ruined the season. Not at all. I mean, at the end of the day, if the Packers like win the trade in the eyes of the public, there's only so much you can do. Like, we're talking about a trade involving Aaron Rodgers, of all people, Aaron Rodgers. Of course, the Jets want to get the best deal possible, but there's another team on the other end that's trying to get the best deal possible. So if the Jets have to cave, a little bit to Green Bay, then it is what it is. Like, that's what it's going to come down to. But I do want some sort of condition in this trade, like in this draft pick, because Aaron's playing 1 year. Like, that did not sound like a 3-year plan.
No, I would say 2 maximum. Like, obviously, definitely this year, but you're right. Like, I don't see it, because he's done this for the last like few off seasons where it's like he's kind of just unsure. It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers, like, what are you doing? We're just sitting here waiting. So, I get that. So that obviously factors into a trade. It's like, if we're getting 1 year of a quarterback, like, we're not going to give up multiple first round picks. I don't think it's going to be multiple regardless, but I think, like, oh man, I want that 13th so bad, because I keep doing mock drafts with it, and I'm like, oh, this would help the Packers build around Jordan Love. I mean, it's just interesting, and we're gonna find out very, very soon. But I'm starting to realize it's probably not gonna be like, it's gonna be like a second or a third this year, a conditional next year, maybe a third that can turn into a second, and then maybe a player.
Yeah, I think what's insane is like listening to Rodgers, and who knows, maybe this wasn't the case, but according to him, it sounded like exiting the darkness retreat, the comments that were made and the people that reached out to him about the Packers wanting to move off of him and they were exploring ideas and stuff, that's what was the turning point. And it's crazy to think, like, if Mark Murphy didn't make those like past tense comments about Rodgers, that we could be looking at a completely different situation here. Like, Rodgers is sticking with Green Bay, but because of one small interview, this entire thing could have been flipped on its head.
Mark Murphy has like no poker face, and I know a lot of people are so ready for him to retire. I mean, he's forced to retire in a couple years here due to the system that the Packers have in play. So, I was not expecting that from Mark Murphy. I was like, I was kind of going into this like, okay, we might hear a tidbit here and there, and then Mark Murphy during a high school girls basketball tournament of all things, it's like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers was a great player here, and he was this, and I'm like, dude. Like, I get it, but like, try to at least get the trade done, then talk about those things. So it was crazy for me, but hey, an Aaron Rodgers trade to the Jets, it looks like it's all but sure at this point. Like, it is going to happen. It's just now the Jets front office, the Packers front office figuring that all out.
100%, man. I mean, it's going to be honestly, I'm not going to sit here and lie. It doesn't even feel Like I can't picture Rodgers in a Jet uniform. I just think of the
Neither can
Packers.
I said the same about Favre. So, I grew up a Favre fan. That was my number one player growing up. Like, I like football because of him. And it's weird how this is happening like the same exact time again. And I saw a funny thing. It was like, oh, expect Jordan Love. Jordan Love will look great in the Jets uniform in 2038. It's like, imagine. Like, it's imagine.
And then Rodgers in a butt.
Oh, no. Let's not go that far. If that happens, that's going to be a sad day. I think he's going to play a year or two with the Jets. He's going to finish his football career. Hopefully, for his sake, I wish the best for him. Hopefully it's with a Super Bowl. Hey, if the Jets aren't playing the Packers in the Super Bowl, I wish them the best. I hope they do win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. But then, obviously, I think he'll retire with Green Bay. His number will be retired. He'll be put in the Packers Hall of Fame, and he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I really appreciate you coming on, Ian. I wanted to get a Jets perspective of this. I'm sure a lot of Jets fans are super hype, and obviously they'll have different, views once that compensation releases. If it's too much or if it's a little, they'll be extremely excited. But I really appreciate you coming on here. Obviously, we'll have a lot more in store when compensation comes out and, all that.
Hey man, thanks so much for having me. I'm always looking forward to hopping on and whatnot. And yeah, crazy stuff.
All right, man. I'll catch you. Have a
Later.
good one.